practicing the Liuli breathing technique. She occasionally heard faint sounds coming from the living room, and piecing it together with the strange things from the past 2 days, she suspected that I had already crossed paths with an evolved zombie with special abilities. She knew how powerful evolved zombies were. Their pressure and combat ability far exceeded ordinary zombies, and on top of that, ordinary zombies in this changed world sat at the very bottom of the food chain, constantly threatened by human survivors, fellow zombies and mutant beasts alike. She was moved by the fact that I, even in such dire circumstances, had never stopped caring for her, thinking about how humanity had lost its conscience in the apocalypse. She felt even more deeply that this zombie dad of hers who still held onto his humanity was something truly rare. After many days of cultivation, her psychic strength had increased dramatically. She could now control silver needles to fly at extremely high speed, and combined with her time control ability, she was confident she could kill silently and without a trace. She could eliminate targets without making a sound, but she was not satisfied with that. Surviving the apocalypse meant she needed to get even stronger. Meanwhile, my puppets, while scavenging nearby buildings, came across a unit whose previous owner was apparently a martial arts enthusiast who had left behind a bunch of combat manuals. They contained a wide variety of close quarters fighting techniques, and since my body had been strengthened through zombie evolution, it was already above average. And now that my body was no longer stiff, I could learn and execute complex fighting moves much more naturally. Zombie attacks were primitive and brutal, but the modern combat techniques developed by the human mind were far more scientific and effective. Even though my evolutionary path was not focused on close-range melee, I believed that scientific fighting technique could make up for gaps in raw physical ability, and I could also take advantage of the fact that zombies do not fear being bitten. To maximize efficiency in armed combat after learning the fundamentals and training for a while, I controlled some puppets up to the 6th floor living room, and after releasing my psychic hold, they immediately became my sparring partners. You know what they say, a zombie that knows martial arts is unstoppable. But after experimenting, I found out that just reading theory and figuring things out on your own was nowhere near enough for real combat. Only actual sparring could sharpen your sense of distance. Reading your opponent and split-second reaction judgment after grinding through it again and again, I made serious progress in hand-to-hand combat and could handle a direct attack from an ordinary zombie with ease, going from a complete beginner to a fighter with real skill. And I also discovered I could multitask, practicing combat with my body while simultaneously controlling zombies with my mind. While I trained in combat techniques, I had my puppets scavenging for supplies, and at the same time tracking down the movements of evolved zombies. Something like the blood zombie was way too dangerous to provoke without enough strength, but the big tank zombie and the agile zombie I had already dealt with were relatively more manageable through days of exploration. I had figured out that those higher-tier crystal cores mostly only formed inside the brains of evolved zombies. Meanwhile, up in the 7th floor bedroom, Yuki in her infant body had gone from being completely exhausted just trying to move a shadow needle, to now being able to levitate her infant body 12 centimeters off the ground for humans. Flying through the air was probably everyone's dream. Yuki could not quite pull that off yet. But after all this non-stop training, she finally had a little ability to protect herself in the apocalypse. What she did not know was that if any of the large survivor camps ever found out, they would all come rushing over trying to recruit her a baby who could levitate her own body. That achievement was genuinely mind-blowing. After finishing the combat training session on the 6th floor, I had my puppets clean up the dismembered zombies and was just about to head upstairs to feed Chiki, when one of the resource-gathering puppets sent back a new discovery not far away. A lean but blindingly fast agile-type zombie was chasing a gaunt, malnourished human survivor. The survivor had run out of stockpiled food and been forced to go out scavenging and had unluckily run into the evolved zombie I had been hunting for so long. The agile zombie was incredibly fast, hooking its claws through a car door to execute a perfect drift, rapidly closing in and killing the survivor. I watched this and realized my moment had come. Ever since swallowing that crystal core and feeling the surge of power, I had been obsessed with getting stronger. I immediately dispatched a puppet to follow it and keep tabs on this agile-type zombie. I left one puppet to monitor its movements, then called in 4 more armed with fire axes. Once all 5 puppets were assembled, I had them disguise themselves as ordinary zombies, keeping a measured distance apart in a loose semicircle formation, slowly closing in on the agile zombie as it feasted on human flesh. The reason for this approach was that the agile zombie was extremely fast, and a reckless charge could mean all the puppets getting wiped out instantly. When the distance narrowed to just 10 meters, I had all 5 puppets charge at once. The agile zombie used its speed to dodge most of the attacks, but thanks to my semicircle formation, it still took hits to its right arm and back. However, one puppet got its axe wedged in the zombie's ribs, and the enraged agile zombie tore its head apart. I had 2 more puppets launch a frontal feint, drawing the zombie's attention while the other 2 seized the opening to resume their attack. The agile zombie swatted away the ones in front, but still could not avoid a horizontal slash to the side.